Rocky Mountains. But as it eroded up there, wind and water took it on a journey of hundreds of miles and left it here on the shores of two oceans. Both of these red rock layers were ocean shores. It gave us the topmost buff-colored layer, limestone. Limestone only forms under deep water, and that means the Coconino Desert went from being one of the driest places on Earth to being the bottom of the deep ocean. Later on, what had been ocean floor was tectonically lifted to what is now almost 7,000 feet above sea level. Kaimab is a Paiute Indian word that means mountain lying down. A silly name for that layer. It's the exact opposite of a mountain lying down. Time machine territory. I want you to remain aware of that. This is a Jeep, but today it may as well be a little bit of a time machine for us. To have some fun at this, we're going to speak somewhat interpretively. But remember, no matter what you hear, no matter what you see, appearances can always be deceiving. In the absence of a written language, archaeology is never expected to give us the complete picture. Now the really big time for the Sinawa people of the Verde seems to have been the 1300s. That's 7 centuries after their culture comes into this valley. Ancient Sinawa villages spread through about 2/3 of the region. At least 32 of those pueblos were big enough to have housed populations of 100 to 200 each. Those larger villages are arranged relative to one another in groups, and within those groups the average distance between the big villages is less than 2 miles. There's some faces visible in the cliff.
Yeah.
Now that right-hand face we call Masao. Masao is the Hopi god skeleton man, the guardian or caretaker of this surface world, which for the Hopis is the fourth world. Did, by harnessing the principles of communal labor, we should have had the potential to produce at least 4 or 5 times, perhaps 8 to 10 times the amount of food required to feed the resident population. So there's evidence of Sinawa foods that's been grown in Verde, that's been excavated out of other sites 80 miles outside of this region. So it looks as if these people felt confident enough to trade food surpluses. Now when you compare the archaeology of the prehistoric Verde to that of the greater Southwest, it is a little puzzling. In many other parts of the prehistoric Southwest, archaeologists have found areas that were occupied for a while and then they were abandoned. In most of those areas, they have been able to turn up. Not to find evidence of that here in the Verde, highly unusual. And it looks like these guys are doing very well, and then by about the beginning of the point they start. The only thing that gets to touch it is our eyes and our cameras, because our skin has acid, oil, and salt in it, and that's bad for archaeological surfaces. We can take all the photographs. Ready. Anybody in need of some water?
Not yet.
Wait till the ceiling's just going to come down. So the overhang over here, where the ruin is built, is about the deepest and largest overhang you can get in this kind of rock. But that isn't as deep as it looks. That's only about 6 feet deep. It looks much deeper because the ceiling slants down quite radically and it's been blackened by fires. Some of those were ancient fires, some of them were probably modern hiker fires. But at dawn on the morning of the summer solstice in 95, and again at dawn on the morning of the winter solstice in 99, I waited up there to see where the sun comes over the eastern horizon. When you watch from up there, summer solstice sunrise will come up above a recognizable shape on top of the butte above the village. Winter solstice sunrise viewed from there will come up above a recognizable shape further down the cliffs. So that means that Sinawan observers stationed there for that purpose could predict at least the longest and shortest days of the year. But when you look at the irregularities of the horizon line there, they were probably predicting the equinoxes and the report. Listing everything from weather, animal sightings, comments of visitors, mud modes, and they found long ago they really through that position of that 11 years ago now. And so the background of that data before, so we can actually. Now we are out here to see this ruin. This ruin is the only physical presence left from what was very likely coming out in the soils at the base of the cliff. They had a wetter climate overall. So what this translates to is a radiantly heated zone with its own built-in drip system. Good place to think about planting. Heat radiation will stave off the frost damage, you'll stretch your growing season. They also did that by planting at multiple elevations in a variety of localities. Now, this is a passive solar site, and that means there are cooler summers and warmer winters there than you would get 300 yards over where the Jeep is parked. Whenever you look at walls built out of stone and mortar by low-tech people who had no draft animals, that means they did all of the labor investment. Water would flow here in a more or less seasonal basis. The stream shape is not right for a stream that flowed all year round, but today it would take very heavy rainfall or snowmelt to see water here for just a brief while. But the evidence that more water was here on a more regular basis in the past is this big alligator juniper with roots the size of trunks, reaching extensively. So we know that this tree needs a lot of water, and to get this size with paper-thin rings of growth, this tree's been here for a long, long time. It's a pretty good bet this tree actually saw these people. So I like to imagine any time I pass this tree, what an ancient life form like this could tell us if we could only speak its language. Of course, that would be a root language, Gregory, they bark. So this tells us there was work that went on the surface of this boulder. You're probably aware how in cultures like this, groups of girls and women spend a lot of their daytime hours processing seeds. There are shells on the mesquite beans that need to be broken off, but probably they're also breaking off the shells of the black walnut. And when I say walnut, you might have conjured up the image of the English walnut we buy in the grocery store today. It's usually 3 or 4 times the size of these black walnuts. And these black walnuts are primarily shell. So it's a lot of work for comparatively little return. But when you analyze the food values of all, but they used to let us go up in there. Now they stopped us doing that about 12 years back, and they did it on a suspicion, and then they proved their case using figures from 1998. In 1998, there were 32,000 unsupervised visitors that came through Honaki. That's quite apart from the several thousand people that Pink Jeep is going to bring out here over the course of a year. We're physically larger people today. And as we walk, if we're walking close to these walls, just the vibrations of our steps can cause cracks and separations to occur in these walls. So the long-term goal, of course, is the stewardship and preservation of the site so that when you guys grow up, you have families, you want to bring your kids out here to the Southwest and bring them out here, there should still be something to see. So part of the reason this site was given that grant was so that they could create a setup like this, where we can still be intimately close and see details without things in our way, but we're not so close that our very presence here is a threat to the future of the site. The darkness on the underside of the rock here, again, is carbon, is soot from the smoke of fires. Now, if we were Sinawans, every domestic room that we use all year round has to have a fire pit inside it. We're going to burn pine, oak, and juniper. We're going to start the fire with the favorite traditional fire-starting fuel that the Hopis always preferred. They call it greasewood. Our name for that is creosote bush. Everything I just named, when you burn it, it's going to release toxins, carcinogens, and particulates into the atmosphere. Nobody here has a fan they can turn on to draft the smoky air out of the room. So we grow up in smoky rooms. This is why Pueblo architecture has flat roofs. You want to spend most of your daytime hours up there where the air is fresher, and it gives you a nice flat space for working. But on top of that, these people were also smokers. The archaeological evidence shows us they smoked the native tobacco here, not just in ritual, but also in daily life. So the surprise is that when we look at our ancestors in Great Britain and Europe at the same period of history, now we're talking about 1100s, 1200s AD, average European adult in that time dies at about 42. The largest ones, on the left side, we think that is a clan shield. All right, again, we're talking about 1100s and 1200s AD. In Great Britain and Europe, our ancestors at that period of time are doing exactly the same thing. Our family crests are painted on shields that are hanging all over the castle walls of Europe. And across the prehistoric Southwest, we see these Pueblo clans paint their insignias on these round shields above and beside their room blocks. If we're strangers visiting here, that's important information because it tells us who lives where. Some of these folks might be blood relatives to us, some of them might be ceremonially related to us, and some might be people that we have no wish to be around at all. The human figure to the right of that shield has a rather swollen abdomen. Perhaps this indicates fertility or abundance, could indicate any number of things. But the posture of the arms is extremely specific. Do you see how the arms are like this? We see this posture thousands of times across the Southwest. Human figures depicted with their arms like this. I want you to try this posture for just a moment. Put your elbows high. Comfortable? That was not there before. They start seeing the shape of the upside down L being used. In 1890, there's an anthropologist named Alexander Steffen. He was living with the Hopis, studying their culture. And he got contracted by a group of wealthy folks from the East. They sent him a bunch of money and they said, use this money to buy the oldest pots you can get those people gap out of that lintel. Took it down to the tree ring lab at the U of A. And tree ring dating only tells us the year the wood died. That's not necessarily the year that it got used for construction. But the year this wood died, there was a family living in Venice, Italy. And one of the younger members of the family had proposed that they should make a journey that would take several months on camels, travel east to a far distant land called Cathay, and if they purchased a bunch of silks and spices there and brought those back and sold them in Venice, they would become wealthy merchants. They went on to do exactly that. I'm surprised that the oldest real estate or oldest construction is up here, and it's getting newer as we go down this way. So all of this is collapsed walls. Photos from the late 1800s showed this stone and this stone were at the base of walls in the wall itself. On a larger scale, by the time the construction reaches this point, this rock has already dropped out of that corner up there. It's way too big for them to break up or move, so they made it part of the structure. And again, you see that to a lesser degree down there. When they found out that the site had been abandoned and reoccupied 4 times, our chief Forest Service archaeologist, a man named Peter Pillis, kind of went, aha, that's why there are 4 different kinds of masonry work visible in the walls at Hononki. So he now equates these with the different periods of occupation. 2 of those are clearly seen in this wall right here. The inner portion of this wall represents a building or construction from earlier occupancy, followed by abandonment. And during that abandonment, the part of this wall that stuck out beyond the drip line was destroyed by exposure to the elements. Then you get another group that are going to come back later. They need to rebuild and reuse, but they are clearly selecting for longer, flatter stones. And they are a little more organized. They're tying over the ends of the stones the way a modern bricklayer would do. That's going to enhance the structural stability here. This is still way too much mortar. Not as much as that. See how much the wall is buckling? That's just settling because of so much mortar in the wall. This is still too much mortar, but it's stronger than that. Now, mortar is a shortcut. The wall goes up faster. It also means you're not in a screaming hurry to have the roof over your head, because the more mortar you have in the wall, the longer it takes that to set up and season and be able to support the weight of your ceiling. What do you need to make the architecture in every one of the big Sedona ruins that I've been in? It's too much mortar in the walls. So the architecture tells us that at least during the building episodes, they were certainly not sin agua. They were not without water. They were con mucho agua during those periods. You've heard me use the terms pictograph and petroglyph. It's all about the technology that you use to make a symbol. So in other words, if I made a symbol on the rock by drawing it or painting it, scholars would call that a pictograph. If I carve that symbol into the rock, they're going to call it a petroglyph. All right, so here's an image that's right on the boundary between pictograph and petroglyph, and it's neither. We call it the shadow being. I want you to look about 8 inches above this horizontal crack on the rock, the flat rock in front of you, on the right-hand side. About 8 inches above that horizontal crack. Tell me if you see a human figure. It's in the same posture as the one we saw uptown, with the arms like that. You see it yet?
No.
I'm pointing right to the bottom of the left foot.
Okay, got it, yep.
When the legs go up, there's the body, hands and arms.
It's funny when you see through the video thing, I see it better.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
you
you
might
do?
have a filter there that's helping you see that. The magic of this is, it wasn't painted or drawn, it wasn't carved. It was burnished onto the surface using a harder stone. And deliberately for this effect, I think. Direct sunlight makes it almost invisible. If the sky were to fill with moisture-laden clouds, that image would jump right off the wall at us. Painted in white, there's a design motif that we call the Greek key. We call it the Greek key. We find it everywhere in the world. It's one of the most basic design elements that human beings have ever come up with, but we find it almost everywhere in the world. And then we know that construction's going up about 3 stories here, because there's a red circle in the middle of another shield emblem, and it's painted above a portion of the 3rd-story roof that's still clinging to the cliff. And they made ladders out of tree branches and tree trunks to go up and down with. On their day, the raw stones of these walls did not show. They plastered over. Exterior plaster is thick and stucco. Here's our only look at interior plaster on the site. And it's a smoother mix. They're using their hands, fingers, and palms to pat it and spread it over the stones, cover them up. Here's an essentially child-sized handprint in it. We often find the handprints of small children on interior plaster. Some people have said maybe that was part of the kid's job, to help plaster the wall. Maybe it was, but that's definitely a time machine kind of question as to whether or not they really did it, or whether that was their impulse, the same as I would have with wet cement today, put my handprint in it. Now, in the last 5 or 6 years, there have been student fact hunters smashed a hole through this wall. So the archaeologists have put the stones back in there to maintain a little bit of structural stability and stop people from going in and out of there. Above this space, we see red mud pictographs. So instead of making a paint, this is simply the wet clay of the area that's been smeared up there very thickly. Hey, Patrick. So the fact that you see drawings with horses in them showing up tells us what?
Later in time.
Yeah. Do you know how the horse gets into North America?
Mhm.
The Spaniards bring it. Now they bring it back. There were horses in ancient North America. They were slaughtered into extinction about 6,000 years ago. The archaic hunters were good hunters, but they weren't very visionary. They didn't see that animal as potentially being a beast of burden. So they slaughtered them into extinction. So this is why you will read in the books that Spaniards reintroduce the modern horse to North America. If you were coming to another village looking for a wife, you were looking for a girl who's got her hair up like that. Here we get a really good photo op. Photo. If you're standing in this area here, by shooting from there, you are centered underneath the pictographs with walls here. So if you want to get that picture, I'll be happy to take it.
Okay.
Cats. What do you suppose is likely to happen? They're going to move into your walls. And that's exactly what happened here. Over time, rodents hollowed out the excess mortar in the middle of this wall, lived in there, and this wall was 15 feet high until 1978. But by that point in time, so destabilized that the base blew out, and bam, there's the wall today. Now, this could have happened in the Sedonans' day as well, and that might be why you get the rebuilding of some of these walls. That sticky-looking black stuff there is very old rodent dung. As of 1986, that became very important archaeological material. A guy named Julio Betancourt from the University of Arizona in Tucson pioneered this. It's not the most glamorous aspect of archaeology, but if you put that stuff into solution and break it down, perfectly preserved in it by the acids of the rodent's urine, there will be every type of pollen and every kind of seed from any plant that grew within a 100-foot radius of this den. So by using information like that from multiple sites, archaeologists are now able to reconstruct the past environments and determine what the area would have been there. And you see how compared to the painted stuff shows up a lot better. So there are over 2,500 known images on this cliff at Honanki. Less than 10% of them are carved. The vast majority of symbols all through time were placed here on the rock by putting color onto the rock itself. We have some stuff here that's back 6,000 or 8,000 years. But in 1996, 8,000 years used to be the ceiling for us to be able to say human beings came into the Verde for the first time 8,000 years ago. In 1996, an archaeological field school from Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff were coming up here. They parked their vehicle down there and they're headed up here, and one of the grad students says to our zone archaeologist, I gotta use the bushes for a moment. And several minutes later, he's yelling for her to come over, and what had happened is he had found a place where there was a hearth and datable charcoal, and an Indian had sat next to that hearth and worked on making a spear point and broke it midway through the process and left all the parts there.
Wow.
And just walked away from it.
Wow.
About 11,500 years ago.
Whoa.
So
What a find, my
one,
God.
one crayon.
Crayon?
Yeah, now that's Yavapai work, okay? Formula for Crayola red crayon, 1903. By the time a red crayon is in this part of the country, it's about 1913. So red crayon rock art from the Yavapais falls into a period from about 1913 into the 1920s. Stuff made in the 1920s, that's some of the last rock art that Indian people made anywhere in America. Although I would suggest to you that out of the thousands and thousands of flute player images that you see around the Southwest, in many cases it's probably not so much a flute that they're playing as what we would today call a didgeridoo. The reproductive stock of the Perry's agave has excellent tonal qualities for making didgeridoos. And if you can imagine the sound of a didgeridoo vibrating along this cliff as part of a ceremonial event, you think of how the little hip. Liverwort. Names for it include cryptogamia. That's a Greek term that means secret marriage. Some people call it cryptobiotic or cryptosporitic soil, or just crypto. But it's vitally important out here.
Looks like dark moss.
That's actually not a dark crust, really. If we use powerful magnification to look at it, we would see it's a very delicate network of miniature hair-like tubes. Think of little hair-like links of fishing line. They're going every which way over each other. And it forms a network so thick that to us it looks like it's a dark crust. That network is holding these talcum powder-sized sand grains in place so that they don't erode. Now it's also capturing nutrients from the atmosphere and it's affixing them to this soil. Without the nutrients, that's over 90% quartz and silica sand. There's another term for that, Roundup glass. Without that crypto, you wouldn't see a plant anywhere around us here.
Wow.
So the smallest thing we can actually put our eyes on in the forest is the reason that there is a Anybody need water? It should be on the floor. If you don't find it, just pop the door open and see. In 93, I think it was, I had the chief judge of the Hopi Tribal Court and his wife out here. And it was just the three of us out here.
Wanted to get away from the commercialism.
Yeah, exactly. Get away from the tourists, huh?
That's it.
Grand Canyon. That's terrible.
All right, what is it, Greg? Today's what day? Greg, today's what day?
It's the
Today
day to
is
rip your
Thursday,
pockets.
and we're going out to Thanksgiving, and we're going to have a nice turkey dinner.
Okay, where are we going? What's the name of the place we're going to?
I don't remember what's the place we're going to.
Ken's Creekside.
We're going to
Ken's
Ken's
Dingo
Creekside.
Bar.
Excuse me, please.
Ken's Dingleberry Bar?
Don't let my mother see this. She's gonna kill me. What are you doing? I'm cutting your pants!
Wow, you sound like her.
It's just like her.
Oh, now that's on video, you know.
Oh my god. Don't let her see that either.
She's gonna see that now.
I hope they have stuffing. I really want stuffing.
That would have been dangerous.
I would have done it.
Yeah, okay. Go now.
Why is New York the only state that makes license plates on the front and back?
It's not.
Connecticut is
Connecticut
too, but I don't have one on the front.
Yeah, and you're gonna get in trouble for that.
I already did.
You did?
I had to go through a DUI checkpoint once, and he was like, "Oh, I could give you a ticket."
Okay, Len, where are we here? What are we doing?
Oh, it's Thanksgiving, and we're going to Ken's Creekside for dinner.
Okay.
So,
The kill lifter.
Craig, you're gonna need one after this. Did you see him come up the stairs? He wants to get this over as soon as possible.
Look at that red. That's nice, huh?
Looks like a clownfish.
Is that an eel, Greg, Johnny? It's an eel.
It's like in between them.
I don't think so, John. It's that size.
What is that like? All three of them.
Wow.
When he gets all excited and his spines go out this guy. He gets all excited and they go,
He's a spine boner.
Yeah, you really are.
You just excited to see me?
That was
see
really
it? You
bad.
see it?
Hey, how's it going?
Watch him.
You wanna?
Getting the best of him.
Thanksgiving. What are you getting,
He's
Greg?
getting turkey.
What are you getting?
Me? What are you gonna get?
I might get the turkey.
I think I'm definitely going with turkey. It's Ken's Creekside.
Turkey, duck.
Okay.
Yep. Garlic mashed
Should it be
potatoes.
duck?
But yeah, when you're involved, it doesn't work that way.
You can have the duck.
Johnny's getting the duck.
Are you really?
Yes.
Have you had duck?
You always get duck. Goes to the diner and he gets duck.
Yeah.
Looking fresh.
You are looking fresh.
You look like a cowboy.
You do. You look like a young wolf from Brooklyn.
Snoopy.
Snoopy. There's Snoopy up there.
I don't see him. Eat friends.
The one that's allergic has to go get rid of it.
Well, I wasn't allergic to it.
Let's cry about it, Mom.
I broke the Benadryl. Here, do you want this?
Got it.
Over here? By the rocks?
Got it.
Right. Y'all decided that you would want?
Yep.
I think so, yeah.
I'm gonna start with the soup,
Okay.
and I'll have the duck
All right, duck.
and the peach cobbler. My duck is very crunchy.
John is having duck.
Like the salad.
And is having turkey.
We're all having a bird.
There's turkey here. Greg's got his turkey, and so does two Gregs.
Oh, Grandpa?
Gotta watch out for the terrorists. What? What are you talking about?
You didn't get to talk to Grandpa? That's too bad.
She's gonna tell Grandpa that I said hi.
It's coming, it's coming. So thank you. Greg, name your ideal.
People work in the South
Your phone can't do this.
Texas.
What
Better
what
write
do
to
you
iPhone
want to do?
and tell
What do you
them.
want to do here?
I would write to Apple,
Go
considering
outside.
the
What do you
iPhone
want
is
to
a
do?
Oh, that's true. Who's in there? What do
Just
you
hang out.
That's Cade. You don't want to see that.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
Who's that?
Cade.
Who's Kate?
Cade from Love and Live. You know, he grew up in Westchester. Thank you.
You're welcome. About your camera.
Another different design.
It is? Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Charlie's got a different design.
I'm gonna feel very inadequate with my chocolate pudding.
Gregory has an even better one. Look at Greg.
Really?
Damn.
That's cool.
You have a better design? Oh, yeah, look at that. We all got different designs. Oh, look, you got the heart. How sweet. John.
That's what it is. Okay.
What a homo.
Wait, Greg, I'll give a shot of yours, too.
What was the last?
There you go.
Oh, there it is.
The most important's always last, right?
Exactly. That's what I kept trying to tell them. They didn't want to hear it. Guys, look, I have a design too. Guys, over here.
Nobody
Nobody
cares.
I have a design.
Nobody
I have
cares.
a design. No, you can't see it now. Bony little finger.
Poke you. Make the clouds pink. Turn the clouds on. Turn on the moon and turn off the mountain.
Todd, clouds. More clouds, please. A little more clouds.
A little pinker.
Kyle,
That's
we're a
good.
little low on the rocks, please. Could you help turn up the rocks?
Sauce, we have like cranberry sauce that complements it with, but everything's outside.
Starbucks, great.
So, Mr. Roller, how was that chocolate pudding?
The chocolate pudding is miles above anything that cobbler could ever aspire to be. This chocolate pudding, I'm sure
It's down to nothing there.
I'm sure the chocolate pudding would have given Regis a heart attack. That's how good it was.
Or maybe that's why he didn't have it.
Well, you know what? This is only for the brave.
He had
Chocolate
bypass surgery.
Yeah. I wonder if he sat there going, this
Okay, it's Friday. Another beautiful morning in Sedona. Where are we headed?
That rock right there.
No, we've been there. Where are we headed now?
That rock.
There's nobody in the back seat, and we're going home, leaving them all here. But where are we going now?
The Red Planet Diner.
The Red Planet Diner, located in downtown Sedona. Oh! How? This is the Red Planet Diner. And the Sedona cops are here. Okay, what ended up happening is the Red Planet Diner doesn't do breakfasts, amazingly. But we were referred down to JB's, which I think we will take a shot at for breakfast. And then we will return to the Red Planet for lunch at some point. Yeah, what's the matter?
My throat hurts.
You got the Gregory look. You got your Advils. And you got your coffee.
I think that's Bell
What are we visiting?
Vortex. You're supposed to feel some energy. Feel anything
I
yet?
feel nothing.
Okay.
And if my tapes get erased, I'm gonna be pissed.
Did we get it over there?
Doesn't matter. I saw the people going over here, but
Can you get
Wait!
Let me take you.
on the top,
Yep.
right?
There you are.
Yep.
See, you're finally on video.
Are we gonna go up there?
Mom!
That's Bell Rock.
Because that's gonna be a climb.
Do you know where Nancy
I
is?
don't know.
Well, we already did all
I'm
that.
already out of breath.
Nancy! Huh. Nancy was just with us.
Where's the twisty trees?
See them?
Are there any more?
I don't know.
9.5.
Let's go this way. Hopefully this goes around.
It's a twisted tree. What?
I guess you really need a
You sucking up the vortex? Trying to get balanced. You sucking it up? Huh? Huh? I'm trying to feel the vortex. Magical red rock of the vortex. There's a twisty tree.
What you want to do? do, what's left to do, is
No idea
Never
what it
seen a
was.
dinosaur before.
Boy.
What is that? It's an ostrich.
as we pull up on this road here, you can find a giraffe on either side of our vehicle. Evo's got a cranberry here on the left-hand side of the tree most of the time, but he's right there.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that's awesome. So dusty.
Boy, come here. Can you reach over here?
It's in a big rock.
No real way to pet a rhino. This is as close as you get. Oh, thanks, big guy. Oh, he's a handsome boy. Come
What do
here.
you want from me?
You guys can't tell. His horn's actually made out of hair. If you look at the front horn, you can actually see maybe some of the individual hairs there.
Yeah, it's a
There's different theories. I think it's still growing together. Some people call it split. He does have two different horns, though. This big guy's about 36 years old. He weighs about 4,500 pounds. Boom Boom lived in New York until that facility had closed down. It was the Catskills Game Farm. From there, he was actually placed at an auction where he was purchased by a man who was going to take him down to Texas.
Mark Echo. Mark Echo. Look at that. That is awesome. He's tired.
You can find one of our leopards, Christine. Christine is an Amur leopard, which is a critically endangered species of cat. They estimate there to only be about 30 of them left in the wild. Coming up a little bit further still on the right-hand side, you can see one of our tigers. This is Genesis. Oh, if Genesis gets up, you see him walking around. Genesis does have some troubles. He was a product of improper breeding at a different facility. So when he was born with his back kneecaps on the wrong side of his legs. He showed up at our park in Phoenix unable to walk. So we did 3 different corrective surgeries on him. And these days, as you can tell, he gets around on his own. His first mode of transportation was a little red wagon we pull behind us. Directly below him is our 2 bears. They're sleeping a lot this time of year, so you might not get to see the bears this afternoon. That's Adobe and Sonora, both females, about 13 years old.
I wonder if they have any boar. There's a lion right there. You want to see the lion?
Gorgeous.
Or is that a tiger?
Yes. No, I missed it. Where's the tiger?
Oh, there's another one over there.
Hey, Dad.
They used to take you out at the zoo.
So these are spotted hyenas. Kimba looks like she swallowed a shoe and the legs are hanging out there. She's a little drooly. Now these guys are not dogs or cats. They're in their very own family called the Hyaenidae family. They're a little bit more closely related to the cats than they are the dogs, but even closer to the mongoose family, the Bavaridae family, mongoose and civets and all that good stuff. Lions. And one-on-one, the lion's going to win. But they're both pride animals. These guys live in clans, so the lions live in pride. 5 miles an hour is going to be your average hyena speed. But what they do have is incredible endurance. And that's one of the reasons they have short back legs. It helps with their endurance, so it's not great for speed or jumping. It allows them to run at a pretty good pace for quite a long time. And because they hunt in clans, multiple hyenas, they can kind of depend on each other. One hyena can rest while another hyena is in their mouth. They know how to use them. Now, if a lion was coming after them, the only part of the hyena the lion has to worry about is those teeth, because their claws are much like a dog's claw. They're not very sharp. They don't retract or anything. So a hyena, this is being attacked by a lion, will just sit down and just spin with that mouth open and pointed towards the threat. And it'd be very hard for a lion to get around a spinning hyena. Now they're getting pretty possessive once they get a hold of something. They're saying, no, you cannot have my box. That's that laughing noise you're hearing. Defensive noise. Now, the spotted hyenas are the biggest of the members of the hyenidae family. You've got your browns and your striped hyenas also. Get it? Don't you would. He says, I need more incentive than that.
Want one? I want that.
You want a hyena?
People ask stupid questions.
Is it going in the dark?
You got any more sites?
And I need to make them closer. So, how do you...
You should be lucky you're not the people. They're all freaking muscle. In one swipe.
Yeah.
Lion. Hey Steve, get this one. Just take a picture of this. What you do? I don't know. Which one do you think killed the leopard's arm? Probably. They look like they're easily pissed. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah,
What do I think? They're scary. I'm not a lion person, I'm a hyena person.
bring them home. What a kitty. Rihanna. Come on. Bring it on.
Huh? What?
Hi, kitty.
What time is it?
They look like you're picking up a lion.
Gregory looks like Timo, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He has the same disposition.
Yeah.
Wait, piss? What do you want?
Where's everybody else?
The snake. Did you guys see the snake?
I think it's dead.
Everything's dead to you.
Wake up.
Hello?
Join us.
Please do not tap on glass.
It's a white, huh?
Tifo.
Go away. Bother me.
Yes!
Oh boy. Got mad at you.
What do you want? God!
He doesn't like you. Do whatever you. He's gonna rip your face off. Don't do that. He doesn't like it. Let's just walk with him.
He's walking up and down.
Walking with the tiger.
Walking a mile, walking a green mile.
Bread and butter. Bread and butter.
Walking
Bread and butter.
handballs.
Bread and butter. Greg, they're antagonizing the tiger.
They are? They're antagonizing?
Yeah, why?
I don't know, because they're doing so. What does antagonizing mean?
That means they're getting him all riled up.
I don't know what that means. Right?
No, they're trying to excite him.
Hey, kitty cat. Kitty, kitty, kitty.
Yeah, right.
Hi, kitty. See, turned. He's gonna come down and rip my face off. Wow.
Hey, look at you. What you doing? Oh, God, I hate this place. Oh, man. Oh. You would not. They talk baby.
My name is Chad. I'm a member of the horse family.
My name's Chad. Say I'm a British rocker. Look at my mohawk.
Yeah.
Styled this after the Sex Pistols.
Leaving.
Alright, I'm out. I'm gonna chill the hands for a little bit. Smoke that wafer, you know what I'm like. Yeah, it's funny, I got news for you. There's nothing on there. You look like you're chewing something over
On
here.
that tree.
There's something next to it.
Greg?
All right, here, folks, is this is our North Serengeti. Unfortunately, this is known as timeout. Animals that have been.
He's looking for it.
Yeah, he knows. He's a good boy.
What is in time out?
I got plenty of room bags.
Yeah, what'd he do? What's he in for? Being bad.
Now, the only reason why he's just, you notice when he tries to take it, he thought twice about it. He's a little bit more frantic. He doesn't like people that much, but the actual reason is 2 males together, no girlfriend.
Yeah, they're gay.
Yeah.
Says,
Yeah, bro.
well, most of the
How you
girls
feel?
are
You want me to take it?
Africa or Europe, Africa is actually straight up to Asia and Europe.
Bambi.
Bambi, was that stocky?
Now, folks, on the right-hand side here, first habitat we have is we have 2 male lions, Levi and Josiah.
Hello, zebra.
But
I got a zebra. Oh, look. It's a pink.
It's an impala. It's an impala.
Gazelle.
It's a gazelle.
Gazelle.
hey, Lauren.
Hello, gazelle.
Don't move back, don't move back.
Are you gonna be done with tours?
No, that's an iPhone. You can't eat that.
Give me the.
These guys?
Here. This?
Give us a gap.
You ready?
Oh.
Go ahead.
No, it's for the giraffe.
No feed. Oh, we can't
feed.
feed them? No. Only giraffe. Hi, guys. I had it. I had it. Battle.
Now, folks, these guys are really cool. They know where the treats are, so they come right on up. Now, with these guys, they're originally black, and they have a black and white fur pattern. They actually look like they're black and white, but they're actually not.
So they're black with white on, or white on black?
Yeah, white on black or black on black. Or black on white, or however it goes. Very confusing.
Are they black with white stripes?
Hey, buddy.
They're actually neither. That's
You better.
That's the
You
funny
better
thing
stow
about
it,
it. They're
Ken.
actually just black.
They might think your fingers are food.
And they have a black and white fur pattern that grows over the black.
Oh, I see. Okay. So they're like tips.
So they don't believe in mating season either.
Babies.
That's true.
So these are zebras. Now they're very, very cheeky. They will try to bite me. What's up? Because they in timeout, they've been very, 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 very bad.
What is very bad? What do they do?
It's a food easy.
So you're the one that messed up the line, huh?
He knows he's having his picture taken. Hold still.
Nice earring.
How come they have coats on?
Oh, it's a cow.
Hey, it's a camel.
So right over there on the right-hand side, folks, is Humphrey.
Humphrey. He's gonna spit
Are
out.
we just going to wait for him? Don't feed him. You're not really allowed to feed him at this stage.
Oh, look at this guy.
But I'll make a deal with you guys. It'll be very secretive. As soon as that bus disappears,
Uh-oh.
I'll let you
Hello.
It's like War of the Worlds.
Oh my God.
What about cameras?
They normally do spit, and if they really do spit, they spit the whole entire content of this
Oh,
out.
jeez.
Oh. Hey, buddy.
We'll just wait a few minutes there, folks.
Yeah, right here.
What's his name?
His name's Humphrey.
Right here with the growling camel. This is great.
Hey, Humphrey.
Now, where is he from?
He's originally from the Sahara Desert.
Humphrey, that's an original name.
Now he's a single hump.
He's single.
What's your opinion of that dude that they allege to have been involved with Paula Abdul?
Oh yeah, he won because he was boffing.
Yeah, well, he was just
probably telling the complete truth. It was a sleazeball.